Okay, legend has it, if you hit the record button and turn your music up loud enough, everything just kind of fades behind you and you can just start talking freely. Anyways, I just wanted to post a quick video about the pacificator, if anyone knows how to say that name correctly. So I got this thing because it was a pain in the butt to get, and I was trying to make it work. And I was thinking to myself, maybe I should explain how I go about comparing, right? And then, doing some math to try and figure out how effective certain things are, because talk a lot about this noob trap with this mega cannon here. And hopefully my OBS picks up my screen so you can see me doing math here. That's good. But like as a quick example, right? Every 10 is 35, so you just make that 1 to 3.5, right? So 1 resistance equals 3.5 damage, right? That makes math really easy, right? So if I have right here, right? So that's 1391. So 1391, right, times, what is this, 3.8? 3.5 times 3.5 equals 4868 every 9 seconds, right? So you take that number and divide that by 9. And that is your DPS. And your DPS is now 540 DPS, which is a laughable joke. Obviously, I can do the rest of the math. You can obviously combine this using equations. We'll kind of go into that a little bit there. But this, I'll use Mycenae as an example of why you should not build extra for resistances on this thing. Like, you shouldn't capitalize on the Mega Cannon. And so point to it, especially if you actually have room to give yourself accuracy. And I'm going to explain that what's important in a minute, because Pacificator is different because it also sucks, but there is no room for accuracy. So there's a trade-off at a certain enhancement thing that makes it worth it. But anyways, this, for example, right? So I said 1391, right? So let's add brackets, 1391. That's times 3.5, right? So that's our base number there. And then we'll divide. So actually, I lied to you. I did. So that should be times, and then that's times 3.5. Okay, so let's look at our 36%. So that's times 1.36. That's high use percentages. You just 36% is 36 in a decimal. We have to times it by itself to add it to it automatically. So that's the number we have here, right? So for in battle, we have 36% wave resistances. We're going to have whatever that number is on 1891. So that's 6621 damage. And then we can divide that whole thing by 9 seconds, I think, which is 735. So let's just be fun, right? My pacificator, 2237, and I'm kind of maxing it out there. So that's 2237, 37. That's only 1,000 extra DPS, which is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Now this video is going to be long. It's going to go over, not super long, but it's going to go over a few important concepts. I'll probably do them separately in later videos, but I just feel like ranting. This is what I have available, and it's like a use case, right? So the pacificator is our subject. It's our experiment. It's our use case. That's what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to discuss how you factor in effective damage using accuracy, and then you can compare that with the damage gain we're going to get from this excessive missiles, whatever this thing is called. And I have a handy dandy place here to write down our notes. So let's look at what we have here, right? So I have 16.9 DPS with my kinetic weapons that are running their accuracy preferred, right? So these versus the other ones, I don't know where they are. This one right here, this one has more accuracy than this by almost 1,000, right? Even though it has a lot less damage. It's like 500, 600, that's like a, what is that? It's like 650 divided by 500 is 30% increase, right? So that's 500 times 1.3 is, yeah, it's just a 30% damage increase, but you lose out 1,000. But so it's like basically the same thing then, right? Because we already have the rule there, every 1,000 damage is equivalent to 10% hit rate, which is equivalent to from 30 to 40% is, so it's 40 divided by 30, so 33% increase. So it's basically the same if you have low accuracy versus someone else. It's different if you hit the bottom of accuracy. So for instance, like if I have, like with this, for instance, I have 3.7 thousand accuracy, and the average evasion is like 4.5. There's a number I have pulled somewhere, but it's like 4.5, and we can round that down to 3.5. So if you're 1,000 less accuracy, it's not like minus 10, because like if accuracy and evasion is the same, you have a 30% hit rate. That's the rule. If you have less than that, it's like 5 minus 5%. So either you gain 10% for every 1,000 above, you only lose 5% going down from that. It's just a rule of thumb. We can't do exacts because that's a pain in the butt. I'm only here to give you enough information so that you can do rough math to figure out what's worth it. Because if I were to sit down and spend an hour going through, like, break out the actual accuracy equation and sit down just to run these few numbers, that would take forever, and it's not worth it for anyone. That's why I have this video, to show you a way that's still accurate, but it's a little bit rougher, but it gives you the information you need to make wise decisions. Because you don't need the numbers, you just need a decision. So anyways, this is just information. What am I doing? What am I doing? Okay, yeah. The damage of this, right? So let's just say 16.9, right? So that's 16.9. So that's 16.9, so 16,900 DPS, right? At, what is that? 3.7? So that's, let's say 35. So let's round that down. 3,500 accuracy, compared to the 4,500 average evasion. Is it 4,500? I forgot. What is the average? 3.7? Maybe it's 3.5. I guess I should say 3.5. I guess 3.5 is the average. Okay, so I lied. 3.5. Okay, well that makes my math easier then. Okay, so that's a 30% increase. So it's just 16,900 times 1.3. It's going to be different because it has formatting issues. Is there a way I can view this? Okay, well, whatever. All right, so that's 16,900 times 1. Oh, that's not 1.3. It's just 0.3. 5070. That is our DPS. That's our effective average DPS for base people. Obviously, if you're going to tank person, it's going to be a lot less because they have higher evasion, such as obviously this thing's have a ton of evasion, right? I mean, it's 5 to boot plus 2,000 is going to be 7,000, right? So it's not. But just for argument's sake, through average evasion, we're only getting 5,000 DPS. And that's really important because this is when lasers start to have higher average damage. Like base lasers have higher effectiveness than base kinetics, and that's a topic, a video of discussion for the time, and probably one better written than explained. But so this is what we have. That's my DPS, okay? And I'm kind of locked to that because I don't really have a whole lot of room. Oh, talk about the ship, right? I got this ship. It was a pain in the butt to get, right? It's like, what was it, 400 pieces, 200 pieces? I don't know, it's like a ton of pieces, right? You only get like 1 or 2 a day. You only get like, I think 1 a day. And then you get extras from winning, but you have to be with the winning server. Thankfully, I am RFC, IVI, the great alliance. They do extremely well, so I'm very happy to be part of them. But without that, I would be stuck. I'm just saying, all the work it took to get this stupid thing, and I got it, and I was so let down by it because it's pretty well locked into it. Like the way it's designed, right? They want you to increase your laser resistance and your missile resistance, right, to get the buffs from it. And there's this thing. This thing is a waste, by the way. It's only like an 8% damage increase with the highest one-tick kinetics. So like the maximum potential increase you're going to get is like 12.5% after enhancing at the maximum amount. This skill is a waste. It needs buffing. It's a joke. I don't know why it's here. It doesn't do anything. It takes way too long. It has to be like maybe 10 attacks, maybe. Probably even better. No, let's do some math here. Let's say like every 3 seconds, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 6. So 6 attacks, right? So that's 6 attacks times 3 is 8. Okay, so let's say 18, right? If we can do 18 and then lower it to 12 enhanced, that would actually be so instead of 45, do 18 attacks. And then after it's enhanced, do the 100% plus make it 12 attacks. That's what you should do because this thing it's a joke. I don't know why it's here. At 45 attacks. Right, so again, we love math here. 45 divided by 6 is 7 seconds. To just do the round of an 1/8 second. There's no point to it. That's only like 10%. I mean, 7 to 8 is only 10%, right? 7 divided by 8 is so 0.875. 1 minus 0.875 is like a 12% increase. It's less than that because you have to round up to the next one because you can't do halvesies in battle. It'll only work on the next one. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't. I'm just telling you right now, if you thought this looked cool, you thought it was worth something, it's not. So if you're thinking about like getting the ship or if it's worth it, don't count on this. It's not really helpful right now. And hopefully someone can do the math and prove me wrong. I've done the math several times and it's not really worth anything. I mean, it's worth something, you know, after when you get to this, the 12.5%, but until then it's not. It's just not worth much. And I have the math somewhere on the Discord. What was I doing? Yeah. So they want you to increase these two things, but the slots they give you, it's not worth it. If you're talking about proportional, right? You need like 1,000 or 500 in order to make it kind of worth it, especially when you realize just how much you have to put into it to start getting actual returns. Like how high these have to go in order for you to actually start getting realistic numbers. So look, you can do one of two ways, right? You can actually try playing to what it's designed for, or you could, you know, not care. But like, you know, what's the point, right? This ship has no damage increases. This is a joke, but that's all that it has. I mean, at least Mycenae has got, I mean, a ton of stuff on it, right? You know, it's got higher kinetic weapons. It's got also plus this one here. So that's like 150, 140% damage plus more than that, really. A lot more than that. It's like 200% damage. Plus accuracy. This thing has nothing. I mean, it gets your basic 750 accuracy stat and your evasion stat, but that's, I mean, that's standard. That's not useful. It's not helpful. It's a tank ship, right? So you'd be really splitting hairs trying to add accuracy to it when it's not made to do that and doesn't benefit from that, right? Really, and it's like you don't get any buffs to accuracy. You should put the accuracy with units that are gained accuracy. Like you, so it's kind of like you want to maximize your peaks. Of course, you can say that that's a different discussion, but the things, so like you want to give all your accuracy to things that already buff accuracy. If you want 5,000, you want to up it because then you will get the maximum amount of damage boost from it, right? Whereas this just has this, and it's a lot less than that because of the accuracy. I'm telling you now, context. Now, there is a way to make it worth it, and that's where we're going to do some math here. So we have this equation here, right? So let's write that down. XS, I don't care, excessive, okay, right, and then it is, so 10 equals 200 equals 1 equals 20, and then I'm sure it's a 15-second cooldown. I'll just double check that, but I know it is. I've done this about 1,000 times. 15 seconds, cool. So let's do math. So right now, our stat is 2237. Exists from the board, I guess. I'll just call it that. So before it does any other calculations or anything else, that's what I have here on the board. Right, so let's do 2237 times, move this out of the way, times 20. My computer's lagging really badly, that's fun. Divided by 15. We have 3,000 pure DPS. Currently. Right now, we have, let's just keep it low. I always like to lowball the numbers because it's just no point in bothering with. It's 1 point, it's fine. DPS. Okay, so let's do some math here. So I believe that should be 2982. I really can't see this thing. Divided by 5070. If I'm doing this math right, 58%. So it means we're gaining, I forgot to do the math. We're getting like 42% more damage. Basically, yeah. Yeah, we're getting 40% more damage, right? I don't want to do math, but this is, so so just from building resistances, we've gained 40% more average damage. It's probably not as simple as that because really this cooldown is just way too long. I don't really know. That's why I had to put it in the main and not in the front because this thing will just die before this thing even gets a chance to strike, really. It's annoying. So, and again, that kind of goes back into why to build this way, because if you want this to be effective, you have to make it survivable. So, again, there's no point making this into a damage ship because it's going to die soon. It's not even doing damage. So, what's the point of doing that? Might as well make it tanky so it lives, right? And then get benefits from it. So, that's just from base, right? Now, that by itself is not bad. If you look at the enhancement view, though, it gets more worth it, though. You have to have at least 3 enhancements in. We got 1 down. I need 2 more. I need to get these 2. This is helpful, too. But this is the more helpful thing here. 180%, right? Apologize, that's a timer. So 180%, right? So it should be plus 180%. It's not by, unless, look, I really hope it's plus 180%. By 100, because if it's a by 8%, that'd be plus 8%. If it's 100%, it should means plus 180%. So therefore, you do the math like this, right? So it's 2237 times 2.8, and it's 2.8 because you have to do times 1 to include itself, right? Because then you would do times 1.8 and then add it to itself, and there's no point in doing that. Just do 2.8, easier. 237 times 2.8 is 6232. 63.6. We can just do that math right inside this equation here. I can copy it. Copy, paste. I have to add another pair of brackets times 2.8, and another pair of parentheses, parentheticalness. 15, get rid of the equal sign because it doesn't like it. 8351. That is our new damage. That's very high. Now, again, point of all this is that this looks very low compared to this, right? It's only half that. But the actuality is that this number is a lot lower because of the evasion we have to hit through. And that's especially true, once again, if you go against tankier fleets. So in actuality, this number is going to get a lot higher because this number is going to get a lot lower if you go against higher evasion. It's 5%, so 1.3. If you do 1, so that's 16,900 times, let's say 1.2. It's not just 2.25 is only 4225. It gets lower again. It's just 0.3. The higher the evasion goes up. And I'm just telling you, this is pretty simple, but that's how you can apply it to things like your Mycenae here, right? You go 8, right, and you get is it have? No, it's just 8. Right. So if you do 57 times 8, right, and the average, let's say, what was it, 3.5? You could just say 4, right? So 4 is average evasion. You have 4,000 difference here with 8,000 evasion, right? So you have a 40% increase, 40% increase in hit chance. So that's 30% plus. Here, I should just write out for you. Here, let's just do a quick excursion here. Mycenae. It doesn't matter. Okay. Excursion 57.8. So let's just say 58. 58K. At 8K, 35, let's just choose 4K EV, right? So that's 58 times 1 point, actually it's just 0.3, right? Just your base percent, 0.3, but it's plus 0.4, because, as we know, every 1,000 accuracy over base is 10% hit rate. So 4,000 is 40%. 40% equals 0.4. So it's simply 58 times 0.7. 58 times 0.7. My DPS is 40.6. That's my actual DPS through average evasion. And look, I know evasion changes per ship and yada yada, but you have to account for it because that's a huge difference. Again, we're talking about, if you don't run the accuracy, that's a 70% difference. You have to think about it. You have to lower the. I'm just saying, it doesn't benefit you to just look at this and be like, oh, I'm good to go, because it marginalizes when it's worth it. Great example is, if I can get this thing up and get this extra thing to go to 10,000 damage, that's literally a 20% increase in damage, I think. 5,000, 10%. Yeah. If I get 10, so this is at 50. Well, that's at 40. Let's just pretend after everything it's 50 DPS, right? 50,000. If I get this to do 10,000 damage per second average, right? That's 10%, 20% more damage than this, right? Because 60 plus, I'm just saying, 50 to 60 is 20%. So, I mean, 50 times 1.2 is 60. So you can think, if you realize this, 10%, 10,000 is worth something. I'm just saying, if the number is really inflated, but you only do half of that, you won't recognize that things that don't have to do with accuracy will be a whole lot more worthwhile. And you'll start to get the real numbers. Again, if I have a ship over here that's like 100,000 DPS, only has 2,000 accuracy, I'm wasting a lot of damage compared to I have something that has half that but has 100% accuracy, like 10,000 accuracy. So that's why we have. So I'm trying to figure out a good average evasion number. We could say it's 3.7. It's been around up than down, especially because players are. You should always assume players are more stronger than you are. 7, 8 is a good idea for tank ships. 4 is probably a good place to be at, just in general. I might really say 4. I'd say 4 is probably a good place to be at. And you can do the math however you want. If you want to pretend it's 5, by all means, make it 5. You can say 4.5 is the average if you can have the high ones and the low ones. But I mean, as you see here, 3.7 is basically 4. You can say 4.5, so this isn't too out of range there. You'll be in and out of 10% no matter what you do, unless you're going against tank ships, and that should be a different set of factors altogether. And this is already, again, 5 to boot plus 2,000 is 7,000, right? It's a huge difference from 3 or 3.5 or 4. That's like an 80% difference there. Anyways, this is basically the end of the video. Doesn't need to be much more than that. Just trying to explain to you how you can factor a baseline to factor in actual damage through average evasion using Mycenae, and then realizing if you inverse that, apply it to things that don't have to deal with accuracy, they hit 100% of the time, that DPS is a lot more realistic. And then just a quick overview of Passive Fader, why it sucks, and why, if you stick with it and put a lot into it, you can get it to be where it's useful. I have a few notes about that too. Not that I'm going to write it down here because I'm talking to you about it. Passive. Yeah, all right. But this is the tank ship. Most tank ships, they have to pick one or the other, right? They're either gonna, they really should pick to be tank ships. There's not as much reason to give it accuracy. You can if you're, you want to make the damage worth. Again, 1,000 more accuracy is 33% more damage, right? Because if you go from 30% to 40% is a 33% increase. So if you want to have 33% increase for the ship, you add a maxed, accuracy unit here, right? You just take one of these out, put in one of these, level 30. It's 909 accuracy. There you go. There's your 33% more damage, right? I mean, I don't know how much of that is. That's 30%, 12.7. That's only 40. So let's say 12.7 times 0.4, right? It's only 5,000 DPS. Not very high. And as long as, again, you run out of room where it's worth it, right? You can probably get away with adding one accuracy unit, a medium one, right? But what's the point of wasting away a perfectly good slot for evasion for a tank ship, right? You're only gonna get to maybe 50% if you're running kinetics, of course. So again, it's better to not worry about that. Get good lasers, because lasers have better accuracy in the first place. You get lasers, lose the kinetics, and then you build for tank. That's what you're supposed to do, right? Whatever it is. Pacificator, I thought was dumb, and it has its problems, but it's one of the few ships that will actually give you high amounts of survivability. This is as far as I can tell. Very good resistance tanking. I haven't figured it out quite yet because these are all really, honestly, you should shade this out for this because everyone runs kinetics, because kinetics with accuracy are vastly more effective, per 1,000 accuracy unit added than anything else in the game by a stupid margin. It's not even close. Even though if you did the math using average evasion, that's another video, but everybody uses kinetics, right? But it wants you to build for missile and not many people use the missiles is their main damage fleet, or lasers for the main damage fleet. They use kinetics. So you're punishing yourself because this should be at 2237, not anything else. Again, you have to sacrifice everything. There's other slots on this thing. Maybe make one of these another L. You know, if I upgrade this all the way, you gotta keep this. That's low too. You keep this. Maybe make these two kinetics. Hope this is enough. Maybe you got something. You know, what will give you at? All right, so that's 330, 600. That'll be to like 1200, which isn't bad. It's already, I mean, 50%. It's not bad right now either, but it's, you know, we all know it's not great, especially again because people are rolling around with 3 Athenas and 2 Mycenaes and who knows what else. But Anansi's about to come out, and that's going to be ridiculous. They should buff that thing into the ground. They might as well. I mean, they could have the damage of Anansi, and it would still be gloriously overpowered and ridiculous beyond belief. But hey, whatever, you know, do what they want to do. And I'm probably going to end up. But yeah, you could probably switch this out for both. Okay, so look, I traded this. It's a new one that gives you more HP. I kept this for armor because it's kind of low by itself, but it's better to just go ahead and replace it with well, a good you know, more resistances there. And then because you'll have this covered more than you know, conventionally well enough if you get the enhancement for it. This one and this one. So it's one of the few ships that can actually reward you with good damage. And if you're talking again about, like, it depends on the fleet you have, but if you got 3 tank ships and that maximizing your damage at a 9, 7 to 8 is like a, I don't know what that is. What is, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's just 7 to 8, right? It's 12%. You can give it a whole 12.5% damage increase by using, well, probably more than that, but by using Pacificator. Because you have good resistances, but you're also a ship that can do much better damage than any other ship without sacrificing its tankiness. And again, that's just because if you have it. Obviously, in the end, there's no point because any ship that's really not a Nazi or probably this, right? Because it's probably the best tank ship you could probably get reasonably, is useless, right? You know, there's always something better, right? So, not a whole lot of use for that. I mean, again, you could just probably hold fleet of Nazis and just laugh your head off as you, I mean, just steam everyone, but that's not realistic. Having this is worth it. If you have it and you get extra, you know, you get extra battleship enhancements laying around, which I'm sure no one does, but if you do, it's probably not a bad idea to consider trying to upgrade it because you can get, that's just 8,351 without, you know, without me pushing it too much harder. I want to do a quick test. 2982. 2982 times 2.8. It's close enough. It should be margin of error. Let's just pretend it's, let's just put it at 3,000 the way I want it to be. That'd be 8,400 DPS. If I do 3,500, that'd be 9,800 DPS. So, wait, I'm losing my mind? Yeah. No, I'm losing my mind. Okay, let's do this correctly. Copy, paste, and then let's add times 2.8. Cap that off, put this here. 8351. So if I went and did, say, 2,500, I already have 10,000 damage right there. If I went ahead and did 3,000, I have 11,000 damage. That's 1/4 of a full load of Matsune for no reason. Anyways, but it just depends on how you're going to shake. You have to get the right components for it, and it's a pain in the butt to do. I mean, look, that's only going to be, the max we're going to get ever is going to be like 2,000. Oh, I don't know if you guys knew this, but every 10 levels is the same, is the base value applied. So we can only get 300% better than what you first start off with. So like I'm at 20. That means this thing starts at like 710, right? Every 10 levels is the same thing. So it's plus 710. You know, level 20. That's going to be plus around 710 at 30. So I'm going to have like a maximum 2,000. It's a little bit less, I'm just the best of the ballpark. It's 2,130 maximum. 1-2 level. And this is the highest rated, as far as I know, the highest rated system for it. So I can only get around 500 more. And I'm already at 22, so that's at 27. I could probably squeeze around 3 if I, swap this out. That'll be okay. And that's it, right? Because I've already got, I'll need lasers. I got anti-missile system. I might upgrade this, but I'm only going to get 150, that's not that much. And it is what it is. And I need this for kinetics because you gotta have it. You need that too for evasion. And right now this is very useful because it's just 500. It's not gonna make a huge difference. If I upgrade this higher, then yeah, it's helpful. I mean, I could not care and just, but then it could be a waste of enhancement to get this. It's just a waste. I mean, you could do what you want. If you gave me headland labor, you could do that too and then roll that one in and then, have what you have, but as it stands, there's no point in doing that. Anywho. Yeah, that's about it. Not too much other than what we just covered. Anyways, good HP. It's got a higher base HP than most other ships of its class. It's got really good stats to roll with. So even though it looks lackluster, and it pretty much is lackluster for a while, it might be worth looking into. And hopefully it's a good showcase of why you should use accuracy and evasion in your calculations for your DPS. And just the rest of fleet building. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye.